You're listening to today's inspirational message on the Proverbs with Kurt Bjorklund.
The unconventional wisdom that we find in Proverbs 15 is seen in these verses, verse 16 and 17. Better is a little with the fear of the Lord than great treasure and trouble with it. Better is a dinner of herbs where love is than a fattened ox and hatred with it. And these little better statements go against conventional wisdom because conventional wisdom says more is always better. Better is a great meal. Better is more treasure, even if it means more trouble. One commentator, Murphy, said, "The spirit the meal is shared in is far more important than the kind of food that is eaten." And what is being said here is that you may think that what I need more than anything is better and more material stuff, but what we actually want is to have less and less trouble and to have love. Verse 18, a hot-tempered man stirs up strife, but he who's slow to anger quiets contention. So a hot temper may make us feel like we get what it is that we want, but when we are touchy and easily angered, what we end up with is strife. Verse 19, the way of the sluggard is like a hedge of thorns, but the path of the upright is a level highway. And sometimes when we're lazy and easily deterred, we actually end up with more hardship because we've thought that it's better just to have more instead of saying, if I have less and I have to work a little harder, it's all okay. And sometimes maybe verse 27 applies. Whoever is greedy for unjust gain troubles his own household, but he who hates bribes will live. And this is really talking about the desire to compromise or the willingness to compromise to get ahead. And again, there's a thought here that says, when I live in a way that says God's ways are better, I'd rather do things honestly or do things in a way that are somehow less just about my ends, that it actually works out better. When it says the one who hates bribes is the one who will live, it's really talking about refusing to compromise our integrity. Even if this means that we give up some great opportunities, some places where it would be to our advantage. And the greedy person is always saying that the ends justify the means, rather than saying that the process matters. And so what is unconventional here is saying it's better sometimes to have less, even if it means that I go without or something in order to experience love in relationships, or that I've been true to God, than if I simply try to move ahead with the different things that I'm doing. Now, this is something that, like many of the Proverbs, is easier to say than it is to do, because in our culture, what we believe is that more money creates financial independence, and financial independence creates options, and options bring us the better life. And there's an element of truth to that for sure. But it's a myth if we believe that simply having more will lead to a better life. And I need to point no further than to celebrity news for you and for me to be reminded of this. There are plenty of people with lots of stuff who make our news headlines whose lives are miserable because there hasn't been the fear of the Lord. There isn't love in a relationship, not because they didn't want love, not because they intentionally sought not to fear the Lord, but because their life circumstance, their choices led them to say, what I need right now is more. And what I want to be aware of, and the wise choice I want to make, is to say, never get deluded into thinking that simply having more is worth compromise, it's worth a hasty temper, or it's worth resenting the difficulty of the harder path, because long term the path of life is through seeking God, seeking loving, harmonious relationships, more than it is simply in trying to get more stuff.
Thanks for joining us here today. There's a lot of great content to explore on Orchard Hill Plus and on the Orchard Hill main feed from the weekend. Have a great day.